Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Picture this, one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop, a man who spent decades living a life of luxury, now finds himself behind the cold, steel doors of one of the most notorious detention centers in New York. Yes, we're talking about Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul whose career has been a whirlwind of success, controversy, and excess, but now he's not in the spotlight for his glamorous parties or chart-topping hits. He's in the headlines for facing some of the harshest conditions imaginable at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And let's just say, for someone used to private jets and multi-million-dollar mansions, the stark shift in his environment is more than just a little shocking.
Incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty.
Can you imagine going from lounging in a $48 million residence to being stuck in a prison where even basic human needs seem like luxuries? It's hard to even wrap your mind around it, but that's the reality for Diddy right now. So we're talking about a place where violence is just part of the daily routine, moldy showers are the norm, and cockroaches are your roommates. And this is the same guy who's been rubbing elbows with A-listers for decades. Talk about a dramatic fall from grace.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
Let's get into it. Diddy's new reality at the Metropolitan Detention Center isn't pretty. The facility is infamous for its awful conditions, and it's not just rumors, it's been the subject of lawsuits, protests, and federal investigations. Inmates there have described it as hell on earth, and former prisoners have shared their horror stories of what life is really like inside. This isn't just a regular jail, it's the kind of place where survival becomes a question every day. And for someone like Diddy, whose entire life has been defined by extravagance and indulgence, this is a world completely upside down.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Now let's paint a picture of what Diddy is waking up to each morning. Gone are the silk sheets and plush pillows. Instead, he's lying on a thin, lumpy mattress, staring up at cracked, dirty white walls. No designer clothes, no gourmet meals, and definitely no privacy. He's sharing space with inmates who don't care one bit about his celebrity status. In fact, his fame might make things even worse. According to insiders, the facility is filled with gang members and hardened criminals who view someone like Diddy as a trophy, a target to be taken down for status points. It's a dangerous environment for anyone, but especially for someone like him. And it's not just the physical discomfort that's taking a toll on Diddy. Psychological impact of being thrown into such a hostile place is enough to break anyone down. Imagine going from being the boss in every room you walk into to suddenly having zero control over your life. So you're at the mercy of the guards, the other inmates, and the brutal routines of prison life. Diddy is reportedly kept in isolation for his own safety, but that also means he's cut off from the rest of the world with no contact except for the rare moments when he's allowed to speak to his legal team or family. He's essentially locked in a box with nothing but his own thoughts, and we can only imagine how much regret, fear, and anger must be swirling around in his mind.
If the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
But the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center go beyond just bad food and lack of freedom. Inmates have long complained about the inhumane treatment they face, mold-infested showers, freezing cells in the winter, sweltering heat in the summer. It's like being in a nightmare that doesn't end. And while Diddy may be a superstar on the outside and here, none of that matters. He's just another inmate trying to survive. Former inmates have described the constant fear they live under, not knowing when the next violent incident might break out. Fights over the smallest things like who gets to use the phone or even where someone sits during mealtimes can escalate quickly into dangerous brawls. And for someone like Diddy, who's already a high-profile target, this kind of environment is even more perilous.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
And if you think the prison guards are any better, think again. Reports of guard misconduct and corruption run rampant at the Metropolitan Detention Center. Some former inmates have accused guards of turning a blind eye to fights, smuggling in contraband, and even instigating conflicts between prisoners. It's a place where survival often depends on alliances and favors. And if you're a celebrity, you're in a whole different league of vulnerability. Despite all of this, there's been a strange reaction from the public. While some people are expressing concern over Diddy's well-being, others are viewing this as nothing more than karma finally catching up with him. Social media has been flooded with comments ranging from "he deserves everything he's getting" to "this is what happens when you play with people's lives." So almost like people are watching this unfold like a live drama, not realizing or maybe not caring that this is real life and Diddy is facing some very serious challenges.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon.
His legal team, on the other hand, isn't taking this lightly at all. They've been pushing hard to get Diddy moved out of the Metropolitan Detention Center, claiming the facility is unfit for any human being, let alone a high-profile figure like Diddy. His lawyer, Mark Agnafilo, described the conditions as barbaric, saying no one should have to endure what's going on inside those walls. They've even pointed out that the facility has been under investigation multiple times for the horrendous living conditions, but so far their efforts to get him transferred have been unsuccessful.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact
Diddy's legal team has been pulling out all the stops to get him out of that place. They've filed multiple requests for him to be transferred to a different facility, one that isn't known for being a hotbed of violence and neglect. So far, those requests have been denied, leaving Diddy stuck in a situation that seems to be getting worse by the day. There's even talk that Diddy is being closely monitored by the guards because of concerns about his mental state. So reports suggest that he's been placed on a special watch list just in case he starts to spiral under the pressure. For a man who's always been in control of his surroundings, this loss of power is a bitter pill to swallow. So one of the most controversial aspects of Diddy's imprisonment is the fact that many people seem to think he deserves this kind of treatment. After all, Diddy's rise to fame has been shadowed by rumors and accusations for years. From his alleged involvement in violent altercations to whispers about more sinister activities behind the scenes, his reputation has always been a mix of admiration and fear. So now that he's facing charges that could finally bring him down, a lot of people are quick to say, "I told you so."
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
But here's where it gets tricky. Is it fair to treat anyone's celebrity or not in such a brutal way, even if they are accused of terrible things? That's the debate raging on social media right now. Some argue that Diddy's suffering is nothing compared to the pain he allegedly caused others, while others say that no one deserves to be treated inhumanely no matter what they've done. It's a complicated situation, and it's bringing up a lot of uncomfortable questions about justice, punishment, and the role of fame in how we view guilt and innocence. So one thing is clear though, Diddy's situation is a far cry from the life he once led. So this is a man who was once seen as untouchable, someone who could bend the rules because he had money, power, and connections. But now, all of that seems to be slipping away. He's no longer the one calling the shots. He's at the mercy of a system that's known for being unforgiving. And the irony of it all isn't lost on anyone. People are watching this story unfold with a mix of shock, satisfaction, and morbid curiosity.
Legitimate concern. You know, no judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond. And now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, you know, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. And sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. You know, years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
At the end of the day, what Diddy is going through right now isn't just a personal crisis. It's a reflection of how power and privilege can shift in an instant. He's gone from living in luxury to fighting for basic survival in one of the toughest detention centers in the country. And whether you think he deserves it or not, it's a situation that forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about the way we treat people who are accused of serious crimes, especially when those people are as rich and famous as Diddy. As the narrative continues to unfold, the question remains, is Diddy's current suffering justified, or is it a symptom of a broken system that treats people like commodities to be discarded once they've lost their shine? Either way, it's clear that the story of Sean Diddy Combs is far from over, and as more details emerge, the world will be watching to see how it all plays out. This brings us to the next big chapter in Diddy's life, the shocking events that led to his arrest and the web of allegations that have surrounded him for years. From whispers of secret deals to accusations that go back decades, it's time to dig deeper into the darker side of Diddy's empire.
Rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
So we dive deeper into this wild saga. The real question isn't just about Diddy's current predicament, it's about how he ended up here in the first place. How does a man who seemed untouchable, who built an empire in the world of music, fashion, and television, find himself facing some of the most serious allegations imaginable? It's almost like watching a slow-motion car crash that nobody saw coming, but when you look closely, the signs were always there. Diddy's arrest wasn't just another case of a celebrity getting in trouble with the law, it was a bombshell. And it didn't happen out of the blue. This is a story that's been building for years, with rumors, accusations, and whispers following him like a shadow. From the outside, it might seem like Diddy had it all: fame, fortune, influence. But behind the scenes, things were a lot more complicated. So how did it all unravel?
That with all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone. So
let's start with the moment that shocked everyone. The day of his arrest. Picture the scene: Diddy, dressed in his usual designer threads, strutting into the lobby of the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, probably expecting another day of business as usual. He's got his entourage with him, and everything seems fine. But then, out of nowhere, federal agents swoop in. They approach him, separate him from his crew, and before anyone can process what's happening, Diddy is in handcuffs. He's in handcuffs. Can you imagine the shock on his face? This is a guy who's used to being in control, and suddenly, all of that power is stripped away in an instant.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
It was a surreal moment for everyone watching, especially for the fans who had followed Diddy's career for years. And if you think his entourage was stunned, just imagine the reaction online. Social media exploded with people trying to figure out what was going on. Some people couldn't believe it. This was Diddy, the man who built Bad Boy Records, who gave us some of the biggest hits of the 90s and 2000s. So others, though, weren't so surprised. After all, Diddy's reputation had always been complicated. He's a man who's always been surrounded by controversy, whether it's his high-profile relationships, his famous feuds, or the darker rumors that have followed him for years. So what exactly were the charges that landed Diddy in this mess? Well, they're serious. We're talking about accusations of orchestrating a criminal enterprise that allegedly involved everything from physical violence to shady dealings with some very questionable people. The charges include racketeering and conspiracy, but the most explosive allegations involve the dark, behind-the-scenes parties Diddy reportedly threw, which have become notorious in recent years. These weren't your average celebrity get-togethers. Rumor has it, these events were wild, extravagant affairs, the kind of thing you hear about in tabloid rumors but never expect to be real.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff, they were there to delete everything. Like the real people that were in there,
Oh,
like
that's
the same
funny.
thing with Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
And the wildest part. According to some reports, these parties weren't just about flaunting wealth, they allegedly involved manipulation and coercion, all to maintain Diddy's image and control. Some insiders have claimed that Diddy had an entire network of people helping him pull this off. And it wasn't just about keeping the party going, it was about keeping the truth from getting out. But as we've seen with so many powerful figures, the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how hard you try to bury it.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
So now, here's where it gets really interesting. Long before his arrest, there were whispers that Diddy might have been involved in even darker dealings, and these rumors only grew louder as more people came forward with accusations. But despite all the noise, Diddy always seemed to slip through the cracks. It's almost as if he was protected by something or someone much bigger than we ever realized.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
This brings us to one of the most controversial rumors surrounding Diddy, the idea that he might have been working with the FBI. Yes, you heard that right. Some people believe that Diddy Day has been an informant for years, and that's how he's managed to dodge so many bullets. This theory gained traction after his longtime nemesis, Suge Knight, publicly claimed that Diddy had been working with federal authorities for years. Suge, who's no stranger to controversy himself, didn't hold back when he made this accusation, suggesting that Diddy's close ties with law enforcement might explain why he's been able to stay out of serious legal trouble until now. It's a wild theory, but in the world of hip-hop, where rivalries run deep and conspiracies abound, it's not entirely out of left field. After all, Diddy has been connected to some of the most infamous moments in rap history, including the East Coast-West Coast feud that defined the 90s and culminated in the tragic demises of two of the greatest rappers of all time, Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. And if you remember, there have been long-standing rumors that Diddy might have had some involvement in the events leading up to Shakur's demise, although nothing has ever been proven.
Where his money could help us craft, he could build his separate jail cell, and we could keep him there. Just interesting to me that they sort of said, nope, you're going to be treated not like everybody else, but a lot like everybody else. Having money doesn't do it. So I wouldn't want to be those judges. There's sort of a no-win situation for the judge.
But with Suge Knight stirring the pot and the media constantly revisiting these old stories, it's no wonder people are starting to look at Diddy's situation with fresh eyes. Could it be that Diddy's current legal troubles are somehow connected to his past? Could the charges against him now be a result of things that happened decades ago finally catching up to him?
Of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
Let's take a step back and look at Diddy's rise to power. He didn't just stumble into the spotlight, he worked his way up, starting as an intern at Uptown Records before founding Bad Boy Records in 1993. He quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with, signing legendary artists like the notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and 112. Bad Boy became synonymous with success, and Diddy was the man pulling the strings behind the scenes. He was everywhere producing hits, appearing in music videos, and even stepping in front of the mic himself. Songs like Can't Nobody Hold Me Down and I'll Be Missing You cemented his status as one of the biggest names in hip-hop. But with all that success came a darker side. Diddy's empire wasn't just built on talent, it was built on power. And power in the music industry can be a dangerous thing. There have been countless stories about the lengths Diddy allegedly went to in order to maintain his position at the top. Some say he used intimidation tactics to control artists, while others claim he had dirt on everyone in the industry, which gave him leverage when he needed it most. And if these rumors are true, it wouldn't be the first time a powerful figure in the entertainment world has used secrets to keep their kingdom intact.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those two raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named.
So then there are the accusations from within his own circle. One of the most damning allegations comes from Rodney Low Rod Jones, a former producer who worked with Diddy on multiple projects. Jones has accused Diddy of some pretty shocking behavior, claiming that he was pressured into doing things that went far beyond the music industry. According to Jones, Diddy exerted a kind of control that went beyond just business, he allegedly. So manipulated people into situations that they couldn't easily escape from, and those who crossed him were swiftly dealt with. So it's not just Jones either. Several other former associates have come forward with similar stories, painting a picture of a man who was willing to do whatever it took to stay on top. These accusations have been simmering for years, but it wasn't until Diddy's arrest that people really started to pay attention. And now, with lawsuits piling up and more people coming forward, it seems like the walls are finally closing in.
By everything, they're going to try to transfer him, they're going to try to get him out. In a normal case where it's a high-profile person or a well-funded person, the prosecution and the judge is a little bit more concerned about a wrongful prosecution, because people that are mad that they're being arrested for a crime they didn't commit can turn around and file for malicious prosecution.
But here's the thing, Diddy has always been a master of reinvention. He's been through scandals before, and each time he's managed to bounce back stronger than ever. So, will this time be different? The charges he's facing now are some of the most serious of his career, and the evidence against him seems to be mounting. But if there's one thing we've learned from watching Diddy over the years, it's that he's not someone who goes down without a fight.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
So in fact, his legal team is already gearing up for what's expected to be a long and intense court battle. They've been pushing hard to discredit the allegations, calling them baseless and accusing Diddy's accusers of trying to cash in on his fame. His lawyers have pointed out that many of the people making claims against him are former employees or associates who might have an axe to grind. And let's not forget that Diddy has settled lawsuits before, most notably with his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who accused him of mistreating her during their relationship. But while Diddy's legal team is focused on defending him in court, there's another battle happening in the court of public opinion. And that's a much tougher fight to win. Right now, the internet is full of people speculating about what's really going on. Some fans are standing by him, insisting that the charges are exaggerated or even fabricated. Others, though, are convinced that this is just the tip of the iceberg and that Diddy's true character is finally being exposed for the world to see.
They can't move him to the general population. And would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to, they want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they Diddy, or they did. I mean, there's so many, people in jail that this would be their moment. You can't put them there. Plus,
there are rumors about Diddy's connections to law enforcement, his alleged involvement in past rivalries, and his supposed manipulative tactics in the industry have all come together to create a narrative that's hard to ignore. So whether you believe the rumors or not, it's clear that Diddy's legacy is at risk. Even if he manages to beat the charges, the damage to his reputation could be permanent. After all, in today's world, public perception can be just as powerful as any legal ruling.
every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail, is not your first argument. That's sort of the...
As we wait to see how this all plays out, one thing is certain: Diddy's story is far from over. This is a man who has built his life on being larger than life, on creating a persona that's part mogul, part myth. But now that myth is being put to the test, and the world is watching to see if he can withstand the scrutiny. But will he be able to clear his name? Or is this the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's biggest icons? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: this is a story that has captured the attention of millions, and it's not going away anytime soon. So, with everything we've uncovered, what do you think? Is Diddy finally facing the consequences he deserves? Or is this just another example of the system coming down hard on someone when they're at their lowest? Does his past really justify what he's going through now? Let us know in the comments what you think about this complicated and wild story. Until next time, stay curious.